Okay, so we come to our last session in this event, and it is really a pleasure to be here with three remarkable women. We are all women, have you noticed that? Together on this floor, and we will have certainly three amazing presentations from them. I will start with Dava Newman. Thank you so much for coming. She's coming from MIT, and she will give us, I'm sure, an astonishing presentation. Please, Dava. You go.
All right. I'm ready. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here. Bon tard. On behalf of my colleagues at MIT, we're thrilled to be here, and what an incredible conference. So let's get started. If you know me, I'd like to take you on a journey throughout the solar system. You know, what's science and technology and engineering all about? To me, is about exploration. And as we explore our own world, Earth, and we move out into the solar system, we just have three fundamental questions. Are we alone in the universe? Are there other habitable planets? And is there life out there, elsewhere? Evidence is mounting. I think we'll find life in the next decade outside of Earth. You've been watching this amazing image from the Hubble Space Telescope. Anyone who's 28 years or younger, can you raise your hand? We still have people here. So it's for all the students, because your entire lifetime, our Hubble Space Telescope has been searching for answers to these questions. You just saw celestial fireworks, the fireworks of the cosmos. We just had 4th of July in the US. We like fireworks. You just saw 3,000 stars being formed in that 10-second clip. 3,000 stars being formed. So it's a celestial nursing ground. This isn't an eye chart, but I love to show it because this maybe gives some perspective as well. We're really small, Earth there. We're right here. This is in astronomical units. From Earth to Sun equals 1. We're exploring the close-in solar system, but there's a lot of world. There's a lot of infinity out there for us to explore. Have you heard of exoplanets? Yes? No? I hope so. Zita's in front with me. Yes. These are Earth-like planets. In space, we're looking for Earth-like planets. Why? Because of those fundamental questions. Are we alone? Are there other habitable planets? So the artists paint the pictures. They tell us the stories. Always bring in the arts to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. On the right is TESS. That's our terrestrial exoplanet survey spacecraft. It's flying right now, and it's identified hundreds of exoplanets. Matter of fact, for the world, we have 6,000 exoplanets identified, but about 24 of them are exciting. They're in the Goldilocks zone. Not too hot, not too cold, could be just right for habitability. So that's what we're looking at. I'll zoom in a little bit in time. This is a test, it's just a survey. There's a lot more to find. Now I'm coming into the solar system. We've been to Pluto recently. I had the great pleasure to serve as NASA Deputy Administrator. We got to Pluto, beyond the solar system now. It was called our New Horizons mission. And again, it's science for the world. It's not just NASA, it's not just the European Space Agency. Now we have the Portuguese Space Agency. But the science is to share. It's to share across the world globally for everyone. Pluto has a heart, so I love Pluto. We zoomed in, now we know what it's made out of. We know it has some of the chemistry, some of the building blocks of life, some sodium and some carbons. Getting a little bit closer to home, I bring you to Jupiter. Our Juno spacecraft, it's named after the goddess of Jupiter. It's not an acronym. It's Juno, the goddess. We are at Jupiter, and we're in a very high polar elliptical orbit. The reason why, we kind of zoom in over the North Pole and zoom back out, because the radiation environment in Jupiter is 20 million times that of Earth. So this video you'll see is science. It's where science and art combine. These are real images of Jupiter today, taken from our Juno spacecraft. And they're not, there's no colorization. This is really what the amazing atmosphere and planet Jupiter looks like. It is the largest solar power spacecraft we've ever sent on a mission, so it's very much off the grid. And so we're learning about, the entire beginning of the universe through Jupiter and through the planets that we study. So coming in a little bit closer to home still, Mars is my second favorite planet after Earth. Earth, my favorite planet, Mars, number 2. For Earth, this is how we're looking at Earth today. It's from our Discover mission. Discover is at the Lagrangian point 1. That's halfway between Earth and the Sun. We call it L1. It's a gravity neutral zone. So what you saw on the left, we take a look at Earth all the time. It's our space solar weather buoy, I call it, because it measures the solar radiation and the solar wind, and it says, hey, Earth, in 1.6 million kilometers, this is your weather. It's very important. So again, we're looking at weather, but space weather in the large. In the middle, second favorite planet, that's Mars, half the size of Earth. It's our sister planet. We will probably find past life, 3.5 billion year old life fossils, I believe, because Mars probably was warm, wonderful, habitable, and then it lost its magnetic field, and then it's losing its atmosphere. Mars today has 1% carbon dioxide atmosphere. So if we want to know about climate and weather, guess what? Study the other planets. It's not just Earth. We know that Venus is a runaway greenhouse gas environment. Mars, again, likely had Earth. We have the evidence now in seasonal water. We have methane. We have hydrogen, carbon. So we have all the building blocks, again, on Mars. Today, Mars is pretty cold. If you didn't check this morning, I wake up every morning, hey, what's the temperature on Mars? It was freezing today, and it gets to about negative 100 Cs. So it's cold and really cold. So life doesn't want to exist there now, but we're looking. There might be, we found organic materials, we found water. When we look for life in the universe, we say, follow the water. That's typically what our motto is, follow the water to find life. Okay, in celebration of Apollo 50, you guys all know it's Apollo 50th anniversary. We've been speaking all year. These are my Apollo bloopers. We've been to the moon. I'm kind of a spacesuit designer. These were spacesuits, the world's smallest spacecraft that kept our Apollo astronauts alive, although we didn't get much science done because it was pretty hard to move in these cumbersome suits. So in the middle is our current spacesuit for NASA, and the European Space Agency uses it as well. And then on the far right is a different design that we have kind of shrink-wrapping people. Rather than taking a spacecraft and shrinking it around a person, I designed the suit from the skin. It's literally a second skin out. So we won't go into too much of the research. I want to talk about Earth for the remainder of my time. We have all kinds of data from low Earth orbit looking down on Earth, eyes on Earth. So our supercomputer simulations with all of our satellite data, all of our airplane data from the atmosphere tell us the sea temperature, the soil moisture, the cloud coverage. They tell us all about Earth. They give us the vital signs of Earth. I want to go through some of those because I think Bucky Fuller said it the best. Our goal, I think, in our work, especially I can speak for the MIT Portugal program, is just to make the world work for 100% of humanity. It's a big ask. It's a moonshot. I like moonshots. I'm the Apollo program professor at MIT. So we're on it. And show you a few of these. Some of you have seen these before, but not everyone. They're pretty compelling. When we say, hey, Earth, how are you doing? What are your vital signs? This is global temperature since 1880. Blue and white is 1 to 2 degrees Celsius below a running average. Yellow and orange is 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above an average. So here's the 1950s, 1960s. You can raise your hand when you're born, audience participation. 70s, 80s, you're young. 90s. Okay, so that's it. That's the scientific data. It's hot. We're just over 1 degree Celsius. And you know that 1.5 changes the world. 2 degrees change the world. So these are Earth's vital signs. One more in terms of showing you the global carbon dioxide. Just 1 year in the global carbon dioxide cycle from 2014 to 2015. Here, yellow and orange are above 400 parts per million. you don't want to see any yellow and orange. And I'll show it to you through the atmosphere in 5, 10, 15, and 20 kilometers up. This is the literal definition of trapped greenhouse gas. These are human emissions. This is burning our fossil fuels and our energy. Sure, it has volcanoes and it has fires, but this is, again, hey, Earth, how you doing? Well, Deva, running a fever. Can't go to work today. I'm hot, right? How about our oceans? Our oceans are absorbing as much carbon dioxide as they can. If we didn't have our ocean ecosystem, that number would be 450, not 410. Speaking of the oceans, one of my favorite areas to study, these are the rivers. These are the rivers in the ocean. Takes us right from North America to the Azores, to Portugal, up to the United Kingdom. This is incredibly important, a river conveyor belt, if you will, the life system, the lifeblood of the Atlantic Ocean you're looking at. We want to keep it as healthy as possible. So we monitor it, we can look at it in real time to see how all of the fish, all of the life, how everything's doing. We're just coming up on the Azores here. I want to keep going in interest of time. This is 2017. It's important data to show you, especially to take a look at Portugal and Spain. What you're going to see is forest fires, you're going to see smoke, you're going to see the ocean data, the sea salt coming off, the hurricanes, and the dust coming off of the Sahara. So this is all of Earth's systems mixing. This is how we study Earth from space. We look down on Earth, and we look again at those vital signs. So you can see the Northwest in North America, the fires. This is August 2017. See some of the weather coming up the Caribbean, typical storms that come up the Caribbean. And there comes Harvey, the hurricane. This is all 2017. The dust, now look at Portugal and Spain burning up. That's August. That's your first major forest fires that wreaked havoc in Portugal, and so much damage and so much loss of life. And Europe just got blanketed by the dust coming off of the Sahara. So we go through September. California is burning up, the Northwest. I'm from the state of Montana. Doug, Washington State's burning up. All of our families are getting toasty warm out there, right? So this is real-time data from the 2017. Again, looking down, there's Jose. Go ahead and play it into October, because that's when Portugal got hit for the second time in a major way with the major forest fires. So there you see the Sahara dust. Maria's going through. And Ophelia was a very strange hurricane that season 2 years ago. There's Portugal. All the major forest fires start in Portugal again. And Ophelia, rather than going through the Caribbean route, it came right up Africa and into Europe. So all of that Sahara dust just blanketed Europe. And you can see Portugal and Spain, on fire. And you can see the Greenland ice sheet up north. And let me tell you, the Greenland ice sheet is receding quickly. We measure it, we monitor it. So that's the data. And then very quickly, what can we do about it? I'm optimistic. I've shown you all this data, but I'm optimistic because we have a lot of good actors. We have to make the world work for 100%, and we'll do it, I think, from the swell of cooperation and everyone working together. So we look at what platforms can we develop. We have this global data. We look at regional. We get down to personal actions. And if we give you this data in the palm of your hand, literally in the palm of your hand on your phone, then we think we can make a lot of progress to help reverse some of these changes, to live much more in balance, take care of the ocean warming all the way down to the plastics that we have, everything in between. So we have 4 main areas of research in the MIT Portugal program. We have climate change, we have Earth systems, we call oceans to near space, looking at the digital transformation and manufacturing, the future of jobs, and sustaining our cities, sustainable cities, and the city-ocean interfaces. Those are all the areas that we're looking at, and we're incredibly proud to partner and work with all of you, and look forward to, this is, said the moonshot, these are the issues, the biggest challenges we can identify, the hardest challenges that we know of, so we're going forward on those. So we have more on this, but we had a session on this today, so I'm going to go through these just to get to the end of my talk. Please talk to any of us who want to talk about more about the research in these 4 areas. It's all empowered by data science, but I actually want to end on what we're doing with the students. Taking Portugal to space, we have a winning student team. We actually have a champion of the winning student team. We're going to fly him on Blue Origin. It's just a suborbital rocket, but the first Portugal student payload will go on nanoracks and fly by the end of 2019 or the first quarter of 2020. So sending Portugal to space literally, inspirationally, figuratively in our joint programs, and then you can see a lot of the other workshops and things that we're working on. At the end of the day, it's all about the people, it's all about working together, and it's all about, I think, tackling and making accelerating progress as quickly as we can. So thank you for your attention.
So I think we can continue, and we continue with Cel Mateus. She's coming from Lancaster University. Please, Cel.
Hello, good afternoon. It's for me a pleasure to be here, as you can imagine, and it's also, I'm also a bit nervous because after Dava's presentation, you know, I have nothing that can match what she did in terms of animations. I was asked, well, I'm also a social scientist, I'm an economist by training. I work as an health economist, that's what I've been doing all my life. I've worked in Portugal at the Ministry of Health for some years, and I worked at the National School of Public Health, Nova University, and then 5 years ago I decided to move, and I landed at Lancaster University, where I'm now a senior lecturer in health economics. And I was asked by Zita how to relate my research with Sustainable Development Goals that have been the theme of this session, of this conference. So it's a bit difficult because I didn't design my research to fit these goals, but well, let's see how well did I do it. So this all started many years ago. This is a picture of of my master's degree dissertation. I did it many years ago, and in a way this has all the things that have been framing my research since. So it was, I was trying to it's on social policy. This is what I do. It's about equity and efficiency, which are very important topics for me. I did it in England. And also this was, it was about comparative research in European countries, and it was also a joint degree of 9 European universities, way before Erasmus program nowadays. So I think it really framed what I did afterwards. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals that have been set by the United Nations. And of course, the one that is more, where I've been contributing the most, is the one about good health and well-being. So this is some research that I did many years ago, 20 years ago, about the obesity costs in Portugal, and this was later used to inform the National Health Plan that was set at the time. Other topics that I've been looking at related to cost effectiveness, in this case for the vaccine of HPV, when we were deciding whether or not to introduce the vaccine in the National Vaccination Plan in Portugal. And this was relevant for the decision-making process at the time, and it's also very interesting in the way that it was one of the first vaccines that in fact can contribute to prevent cancer and change the course of the disease. Also, another very important topic that I'm really interested about, it's about gender gap and the reduction of inequalities. And this was research that I did about gender equity in treatment for cardiac heart disease in Portugal, gender disparities in Portugal, and this was later used also to inform the decision-making process in the evaluation of the third National Plan for Equality and the Commission that reported on that. Again, about the reduction of inequalities on the promotion of access to groups that are usually disadvantaged, and this was research about HIV screening in Portugal and treatment costs of HIV patients in Portugal. So I've done many more things about good health and well-being. These are just, also about policy, different areas on European networks with students of master's programs and also students on PhD programs. So after 25 years, there is a lot that I can talk about. But what I think that's also important are two other topics that are not directly relevant or are not a direct result of my research, but where I think that I've been contributing also meaningfully. One is partnerships for the goals, and how it is defined in the United Nations website. It's about successful sustainable development agenda requires partnerships between governments, the private sector, and civil society. I'm very keen on civil society participation. I've been involved in several associations, namely the Portuguese Association of Health Economics, that I'm the president at the moment. I'm also one of the founders of the European Health Economics Association that is going to have an event later on this year in Porto in September. And I'm now also involved on a knowledge transfer program about economic evaluation in healthcare in Europe that is being promoted by the Association of Schools of Public Health in the European region, and where we are really interested in promoting capacity building and knowledge transfer to Eastern European countries mainly, that are now in a position where they can, where they also need to have a rapid growth in knowledge in this field. Another one, this is my Bitmoji, in case you don't notice, it's me. It's about quality education and my role as an educator. This is, I think, what I've been thinking more about lately, and where I see that I'm sure that's where I've been doing the most relevant impact in society. Because as an educator, I have a lot of students that I can influence, more closely than any policymaker that takes a long time to translate my research into policy and to make visible changes in society. But with all the students that I've been supervising and that I've been having the opportunity to teach, I think that I've been able to build change in the world. Education, it's really important, and I see this as a knowledge transfer and also as capacity building for a lot of areas in the world where it's really difficult for students to have access to education, and also to people that live in very different conditions from the ones that the students have in Portugal. In Lancaster, I teach on a blended learning program, so most of my teaching is not face-to-face. My students are in their own countries, and for them it would not be possible to get a PhD or a master's if the program wasn't set like this, because they cannot afford not working at the same time. So it's really important. Lancaster University is a top 10 university in all the UK rankings, so they are getting a really good education that also helps them to change the world in the countries where they are living. It's also, I also have an important role at empowering women. These blended learning programs are very relevant for women that live in countries where it's difficult to have access to education. And because they can do this from home, and also to suit their lives and their routines around their family lives, and then have some time for their education. Education is a social elevator, and it's also a lot about inclusion and diversity. This is also a very important role that we can have as educators, and that I have the opportunity to practice. So I think that at the end, I can have spillover effect to all the goals that have been established by the United Nations, because what I do and also what other health economists and social scientists do can help to make value judgments more explicit regarding the choices that societies now are faced with. I can also contribute to an enlightened decision-making process, to a better use of scarce resources. This is a truism for any economist. And at the end, what I hope is that we are all working towards a more informed and inclusive democratic society. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Sel, for your talk. I was very much interested in one message that I took from it. It is this: how important your research and the research of your team is to, in fact, implement and contribute to public policies. This is a discussion that we are just having in Portugal regarding how some of our research centers may contribute to public policies, to implement, to enhance, to support public policies. So it was really very timely. So now we stay in the UK, but now in the Imperial College with Maggie.
Well, good afternoon, or almost evening now, actually, ladies and gentlemen. It's a really great pleasure to be here. And I have to say, I think there must be something very magical in those little custard tarts that you have here that I adore so much. And that's what gives you the staying power to still be here, willing to listen to people like myself talk to you this afternoon. My name is Maggie Dalman, and I'm Vice President International and Associate Provost Academic Partnerships at Imperial College London. And in these roles, I'm responsible for our societal and civic engagement, international relations, and institutional academic partnerships. But I am actually a scientist at heart. I work on the immune system. I'm a professor of immunology, and I'm not going to tell you anything about my research this evening, but I'm really interested in diseases that are more prevalent in aging, caused by dysregulated immunity and inflammation. And we work on zebrafish models, and we have some amazing imaging information from our zebrafish. I don't think they quite compete with Dava's, but they are pretty beautiful. So if you're interested in that, please talk to me afterwards. But I guess coming at the end of what's been an incredible conference is always a tough slot to take. But I think it gives me the opportunity perhaps to reflect a little bit on the conference, the people that have been here, and actually how important those face-to-face meetings are to develop your relationships. You may know a bit about Imperial College. It is one of the top 10 universities in the world, of which we're very proud. And we are known for our discoveries from penicillin to holography, fiber optics to metamaterials. And we are a STEM-based university: science, technology, engineering, medicine, and maths. 2 M's. This actually presents us with a really interesting thing relating to Helena's last comment, because we don't have social sciences department at Imperial College. We have social scientists embedded alongside our scientists and engineers, but it's becoming increasingly evident to us that actually to deliver those policy changes that we heard about, we need to be working much more collaboratively with those that are able to take our evidence and turn that evidence into policy. Now I'm not going to be able to change the slide. No. Try again. Well, it's a very beautiful slide, but I've had enough of it now. There we go. So Imperial College is one of the world's most international universities. We attract incredibly talented staff and students from over the world, and our scientists collaborate with over 190 countries, 190 different countries. But we work a lot with Portugal, and we publish more than 100 papers with colleagues in Portugal every year. We've nearly 300 Portuguese staff and students, and more than 1,000 alumni living here in Portugal. And indeed, your science minister, Minister Heitor, is an Imperial College alumnus. It's very useful to have those very important people as alumni of our university. But we, together with the collaborators around the world, do produce benefits that affect us locally, regionally, and throughout the world. And a lot of those collaborations also position us really to engage with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development that we've just heard a lot about. And in fact, one of our academics, Dr. David Nabarro, helped to develop that agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. And we all know that to solve these global challenges, it's crucial that we can carry on collaborating with scientists here in Portugal and other universities around the world. And this in spite of what our politicians, with the notable exception of Minister Heitor, are trying to do to us in the UK at the moment. And we are determined to carry on collaborating. We're determined to keep our scientific doors open, whatever happens in Brexit and beyond. But I think I'm a very strong advocate for international higher education as well, and the benefits that universities bring to society. And indeed, I think I would argue, as we've just heard, that of the SDGs, the most important goal is one of education, to ensure an inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Because I think everything good flows from this education. But the challenges that we face are too big to be tackled by individual academics or teams, and also require a multidisciplinary approach. And at Imperial, we've created global institutes to address some of the most important issues facing the world today, from health inequalities and the climate crisis that we've just heard a bit about, to the opportunities created by big data and molecular engineering. These are complemented by global networks and centres at Imperial, and together the institutes, the networks and the centres draw together academics from different scientific and engineering disciplines. They're outward-facing. They collaborate with policymakers and businesses to apply new knowledge and provide independent scientific advice. And together, I think these sorts of constructs where we bring different types of engineers, scientists, medics together will help tackle pretty much all of the SDGs. So one of these institutes, our Energy Futures Lab, was visited by the Minister of Science, Technology and Higher Education, Manuel Heitor, recently. He saw all sorts of wonderful things, including a demonstration of our wave basin, which is the largest research facility of its kind in the UK, and which can accurately recreate the kind of ocean currents and waves that we saw from the sky, from the sky in Dava's presentation. We're also helping to bring new health technologies to developing countries around the world through the Institute of Global Health Innovation. And one of our Portuguese academics, Dr. Ana Luisa Neves, based at the Institute, has invented a revolutionary finger prick test that will bring prenatal care to pregnant women living in isolated areas in developing countries. And this test, called Momobi, allows for the identification of diseases with known impacts on pregnancy, leading to a much more timely treatment of both the mother and the child. And Anna's also an associate researcher at Universidade do Porto's Centre for Health technology and services research. And she was funded to do her PhD at Imperial College by the Portuguese Foundation for Science and Technology. My slides are being very reluctant. Here we go. So we do get new insights, lead to new approaches and new discoveries when working globally. And this is just a map of Imperial College's collaborations around the world. You'll see the huge focus on Europe, and I'll say it again, we are determined that these interactions in the continent will be strengthened and not weakened by the politicians. As I've discussed, Imperial and Portugal have a long history of collaborating together, and most recently in some absolutely enormous projects. So Imperial, Mino University and Champalimaud Foundation are partners in the Human Brain Project, which must be one of the biggest collaborations in medical research and the biggest collaborations outside of those particle physicist things where you get thousands of authors. But this project, the Human Brain Project, is really a fantastic example of what you can do when you internationally collaborate. It brings together 100 universities to help advance neuroscience, medicine, and computing. We're also working with other Portuguese universities, the World Health Organization and OECD on Europe's largest project to reduce child obesity. STOP, Science and Technology in Childhood Obesity Policy. And I think these kinds of major projects have to go on, irrespective of the funding situation, irrespective of what our governments do. As scientists, we have a responsibility to continue to work together. Now, we've talked about education before, and it is at the heart of Imperial College. We're passionate about teaching students through research-informed education. Yet we know that students today are kind of changing. They're different from students in the past, different from students in my day. And the world that they will work in has also changed enormously. Advanced education is a means to produce learned members of society and to create an educated workforce. But the dialogue surrounding the value of a university degree is important, but it is in danger, certainly in the UK, of losing these founding principles. And too often today, and we see this in the league tables, a university education is reduced to a discussion of salary, job placement, or a snapshot of some student opinion survey when an aggrieved student decides to take it out on the university for something that happened to them through their time. And there is so much more value to our society from our system of higher education. And it's really hard to imagine where the world would be without the millions of university graduates contributing to society as a whole. We see this at Imperial, in one of Europe's most innovative universities. Our students are our best ambassadors. They are working in new ways. They are launching startups and societal engagement initiatives geared towards the SDGs. And you see it in this slide, a company called Custom Mem, which came actually from a program that I'm very proud of having initiated at Imperial College. It's called We Innovate, Women Entrepreneurs Innovate. And it was set up to specifically surface and support female entrepreneurs because we noticed that there was a lack of women leading the new startup companies. And this is a theme that goes through much of what we do. We believe that increased diversity leads to increased ideas, different ideas coming from different directions, and far more exciting innovations. And I've really been so impressed and excited to see some of the innovations that have been on display during this conference. We also think about sustainable development in our own backyard. The White City campus is Imperial's major new campus in West London, bringing together world-class researchers, businesses, and partners from academia to work, share ideas, and turn cutting-edge research into benefit for society. And we are really committed to making a positive impact in the local area around this new campus. Families in this area are actually in the top 10% most disadvantaged in the UK and across Europe. There are huge health inequalities and poor educational achievement. So many of the things that we've done that can be useful in supporting other countries, we can turn to support those communities in our own backyards, particularly in big cities where we have similarly disadvantaged people. And we're really seizing the opportunity to create a new model of a university working in partnership with its surrounding community. And I am so proud of what we've done there in a space that we have called the Invention Rooms. And in the Invention Rooms, anything can happen. It's a workshop space, design studios, interactive space for innovation and collaboration between the college, the local community, and our partners. And the very important thing about this is that we have a maker space that's accessible to young children from the ages of 11 up through 18. And in that space, these young people can bring an idea and turn it into reality. And they very rarely, particularly in this sort of area, have that opportunity to do something created by themselves, for themselves, which then they can use in whatever way they want to further their careers. And it's just been incredible to see the engagement of young people out there. And one particularly exciting opportunity for us out at White City will be to transform our world-leading School of Public Health by moving it to White City, to this area of disadvantage, and building its collaborations across the college and to meet the needs of the local community. So it has been world-leading. It publishes, academics publish amazing papers in Nature and Science, but now there's an opportunity to implement all of this at a local level. It's extremely exciting. We'll take what we've learned from the world and apply it to our local community, and take what we learn from our local community and bring it to the world. So in conclusion, I think the complex nature of the challenges that underpin the Sustainable Development Goals means that universities, governments, NGOs and industry from all countries must work together more closely. We know that only by sharing data, knowledge and innovation across borders will we be able to tackle these big global challenges. This is recognised in SDG 17, which focused specifically on the need to strengthen global partnerships for development. And I think we're all here playing our role in this respect. And Imperial certainly will always remain open to new ideas from friends and partners about international initiatives that will help us solve global challenges. So I'm looking forward to working more with colleagues in Portugal over the coming months and years. And even when meeting may not be possible in person, technology offers a solution. And you can see here that in Imperial College Business School's latest teaching tool, it's a hologram for guest lecturers. Rather than fly in from overseas lectures, they can fully participate in hologram form. It doesn't mean that we should not meet in person, and Helena and I discussed this very thing yesterday evening. We should come together, but we shouldn't let our carbon footprints destroy the planet. We can use other technology to help us with that. So in closing, thank you again for inviting me to this wonderful Congress. One of the most inspirational things about it has been, for me, finding lots of young, really young school children here. You are the next generation of scientists, and it's wonderful to see you mingling with the current generation of scientists. It gives me hope and faith that we will solve the problems of the world. Thank you.
So, thank you, Maggie. It was also so interesting that you showed us the different phases and faces of research of knowledge creation, of knowledge dissemination and application. So that was great. Thank you very much. And we are continuing our last session. Zita is making some announcements and maybe giving some prizes. So thank you again, all of the three, for your presence here and your nice presentations. Really very, very, very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Obrigada, Helena, pela moderação, and thank you to all the speakers. Eu agora pedia só para colocarem o primeiro slide do tanque de ideias, porque, como foi mencionado, de facto, irei anunciar os vencedores. Durante os 3 dias deste evento Ciência 2019, estiveram a votos 7 projetos, ideias fantásticas dos nossos jovens, e eu agora vou ter o prazer de anunciar. Eu quero dizer que alguns dos jovens ainda estão nesta sala, outros já tiveram que ir embora, porque moram mais longe, mas todos eles estão ansiosos por saber os resultados. E, portanto, sem mais demoras, eu irei depois mostrar o slide com todos os resultados, mas o vencedor do primeiro prémio é o projeto Micotoxinas, um macroproblema, com 229 votos. Para não criar mais suspense, eu vou mostrar todos. Em segundo lugar, ficaram o bioplástico da Ativida, com 159 votos. Em Visual Help, com 136 votos. Quarto lugar, Bem Bieber, requalificação dos subprodutos das queijarias, com 114 votos. Com 72 votos temos o Ecoponto Inteligente. Em sexto lugar, com 69 votos, o Sit Point. E finalmente, como dizem os britânicos, last but definitely not the least, com 22 pontos temos o EPASSAT 5. Eu queria dar primeiro que tudo os parabéns a todos e uma mensagem importante é indicar que todos os projetos vão receber prémios. Obviamente que os prémios que vão receber são proporcionais aos votos, mas todos eles vão receber um prémio. Portanto, só por isso, parabéns mesmo a todos e obrigada. E começamos agora com os discursos de encerramento. Portanto, eu vou mudar para inglês por uma muito boa razão. I would like to call to the stage Her Majesty's Ambassador to Portugal, Crescenti. Thank you.
So, Senhor Secretary de Estado, Helena, Zita, speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Well, first of all, congratulations to the prize winners. And thank you for those wonderful presentations. I have to apologize for being a male non-scientist, but nevertheless, it's an honor to be invited to offer some closing remarks on behalf of the United Kingdom delegation to Encontro Ciência 2019. It's clear to me that these have been 3 very successful, very productive days, and that we've achieved our most important goal of bringing together the Portuguese and British science communities. And I feel very confident that the conversations and meetings that have taken place over these 3 days will have fostered new relationships, collaborations, and paved the way for an even stronger bond between the United Kingdom and Portugal, with science and innovation at its heart. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Portuguese government and Minister Manuel Heitor for inviting the UK to be the guest at this very memorable conference. It's been a tremendous honour and a great illustration, I think, of the deepening scientific ties between the 2 countries. And also very important timing, because it has given us, I hope, the opportunity to demonstrate that while the UK may be leaving the European Union, the potential for Portuguese-British scientific collaboration remains and will remain limitless. I also want to thank the organisers, Fundação para Ciência e Tecnologia, Ciência Viva, and the Comissão Parlamentar, for all their support in working with my team and for welcoming our speakers here in Lisbon. And in particular, I feel we owe a very special thank you to Zita Martins, who has worked tirelessly and with great humour to ensure the success of this great event. Many thanks, Zita, to you and to your amazing team. For me, a rather lovely feature of this conference has been the opportunity to celebrate 5 very significant scientific anniversaries, all of which I would contest contain a link to UK-Portugal collaboration. So the first of those is the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, which I'm pleased that we've been able to mark in a fairly spectacular way with the exhibition of the Museum of the Moon in Oeiras over the last few days. And I think, as many of you will have seen, the Museum of the Moon is a wonderful work of art created by a British artist. It's a great advertisement for British creativity and an inspiring fusion of science and art. I should just thank the municipality of Oeiras for their hospitality and generosity in hosting this rather unusual and rather beautiful exhibit. Of course, the United Kingdom has been a significant participant in the history of space exploration. In the early 60s, the British satellite Ariel 1 established the UK as the 3rd nation to put a satellite in space after the United States and the Soviet Union. In 1986, the UK-led mission to Halley's Comet was the first to observe the nucleus of a comet. And in 1997, British technology helped drive forward an ambitious deep space mission to explore Saturn's moons. And looking to the future, the new Comet Interceptor mission, due to be launched by the European Space Agency in 2028, was born in the UK with 2 of our world-leading universities, UCL and Edinburgh, leading the International Payload Consortium. And of course, international collaboration will be the key to making this and similar projects a reality. And there's another little link to Portugal. I understand that, Zita, you were part of the team responsible for the project proposal. And while on the subject of space, I should certainly congratulate Portugal on the establishment of their space agency and highlight the UK's interest in working very closely with Portugal in this area. And I'm very pleased to note that an agreement between the 2 space agencies establishing the terms of future collaboration is, I think, just about to be signed. The second anniversary that I just wanted to highlight is the centenary of the Royal Astronomical Society expedition to São Tomé and Príncipe, led by Arthur Eddington in 1919 to observe the solar eclipse. And this was incredibly important because by observing and measuring the deflection of light resulting from the sun's gravitational field, that expedition was able to gather very compelling evidence in support of Einstein's theory of general relativity. And Einstein's work, as everybody in this audience knows, was transformational. So much of the technology that drives the world in the 21st century depends on Einstein's extraordinary insight, from gene therapy to artificial intelligence, from synthetic biology to geoengineering. And of course, among the most exciting emerging technologies today is quantum, although it has to be said that Einstein took a little bit of persuading when it came to some of the more surprising particle behavior predicted by quantum mechanics. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when I studied mathematics at Oxford over 30 years ago, quantum communication and computation were incredibly exotic ideas, and it was very hard to believe that they would ever be a real thing. The technical obstacles seemed insurmountable, but today it's a very exciting area of practical science and also an area of British-Portuguese collaboration. And our researchers have done important work together in areas like secure telecoms and cyber. And on Monday, I was very privileged to witness a collaboration resulting in the very first ever free space quantum key distribution demonstration in Portugal at the Instituto Superior Técnico. And this is the result of a partnership, really, between Professor Sir Peter Knight of Imperial College and Professor Yasser Olmer's group at the Instituto. So I feel very proud that the UK is leading the world in quantum science and technology alongside the US and China. Quantum hubs can be found across the UK, but we're also committed to bringing innovation to the market, ensuring new technologies are developed in ways that will meet the needs of businesses and our economy. And we're determined to provide sustained support for this work, and our National Quantum Technologies Programme will shortly pass the very important investment milestone of £1 billion. The third anniversary we celebrate is the first circumnavigation of the Earth 500 years ago by Fernando Magalhães, or Ferdinand Magellan as he's known in English. and that is absolutely one of mankind's most extraordinary achievements. He took about 3 years to get all the way around the Earth. Today, we can send data around the world in a small fraction of a second. Data and artificial intelligence hold almost limitless potential for transforming our lives in powerful and positive ways. It's very much our ambition in the UK to be at the forefront of global efforts to develop data and artificial intelligence technologies in ways which serve as a force for good in the world. And the new and often quite unfamiliar ethical issues that artificial intelligence bring demand clear rules and structures. We need a really solid framework for conscientious and safe innovation in the years ahead. And so in the UK, we've created a new Centre for Data Ethics and Innovation, and we've established a partnership with the World Economic Forum Centre for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in San Francisco to develop robust regulatory approaches for new data technologies. And we want to work with other countries, including Portugal, to help secure global standards to enable innovators to collaborate safely and effectively in the international marketplace. The fourth anniversary is the centenary of the International Astronomical Union, whose mission is to promote, safeguard the science of astronomy in all its aspects, including research, communication, education, development, through international cooperation. And it's a shining example of diverse international scientific cooperation, with more than 13,000 members in over 100 countries. And we at the British Foreign Office are very proud of the fact that our Chief Scientific Advisor, Professor Carol Mundell, who has led the UK delegation to this conference, is herself a distinguished astrophysicist and Professor of Extragalactic Astronomy. She's also the first female to be appointed to this Foreign Office role and a very committed advocate for diversity in science. And when we talk of diversity in science, we in the UK are working hard to break down barriers, whether barriers of gender or ethnicity, but also financial barriers. And in 2017, we announced funding of over £300 million over 4 years to increase the number of PhDs and fellowship programs. And last year, we announced an investment of £1.3 billion to nurture scientific talent and skills. And this included £900 million for the new UK Research and Innovation Future Leaders Fellowships, a great scheme which is open to talented researchers from all around the world. I'd like to conclude with a few words on the flourishing bonds between the UK and Portugal in the field of science and innovation. And it is bonds, atomic and molecular, that provide me with what I admit is a slightly tenuous link to the fifth and final anniversary that we are celebrating, which is 150 years of the periodic table. Since I arrived in Lisbon last autumn, I've seen some really great examples of British-Portuguese collaborations in practice. These include university agreements, for example, the partnerships between Nova and Lancaster and the University of Arts in London, Horizon 2020 projects, such as the Discovery Centre, where UCL collaborates with a consortium of 5 Portuguese universities. This enthusiasm for collaboration and the exchange of expertise is something that has also been very much on display this week. In particular, the sessions between the Conselho de Reitores das Universidades Portuguesas and Universities UK, and the dialogue established between the Royal Society and the Portuguese Academia das Ciências, as well as the establishment of FCT, the FCT Imperial College Portugal programme. All of this gives me confidence that our science partnership is stronger than it has ever been before. Whatever the political context, the United Kingdom will continue to build and invest in collaborative science partnerships, extending our offer to a range of international partners, governments, academia, private sector, and civil society. And that brings me, finally, to an important piece of news. You heard from our Science Minister, Chris Skidmore, on Monday that we are in a close dialogue with the Portuguese government regarding the Portuguese-led AIR Centre, the Atlantic International Research Centre initiative. What I can tell you today is that I'm very hopeful that we will very shortly, be in a position to make an announcement about the UK's future participation in this very important multilateral science collaboration. This will be really great news, and I believe a visible demonstration that I can offer you of our commitment to a really close future partnership with Portugal in science and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, our two countries have a very proud shared history that goes back well over 6 centuries. It's wonderful that our relations are in such good shape today. Call me ambitious, but I want to ensure that our partnership extends for at least 6 centuries into the future. Thank you very much.
Gostaria agora de chamar ao palco a Presidente para a Fundação para a Ciência e Tecnologia, Helena Pereira, por favor. Obrigada.
Estamos a chegar ao fim do Ciência 2019. Esta organização conjunta da FCT, da Ciência Viva, com o apoio da Comissão da Educação e da Ciência do nosso Parlamento. As minhas primeiras palavras têm que ser de agradecer a todos aqueles que ajudaram a montar esta organização. O pessoal da FCT, o pessoal da Ciência Viva, aqueles que estão aqui, mas também aqueles que ficaram em casa a manter o barco a navegar. Muito obrigada, de facto, a todos. Também muito obrigada às instituições que participaram neste evento, que montaram experiências, que montaram demonstrações, que apresentaram pósteres e também os que apresentaram palestras. Todos eles foram, de facto, muito importantes. E os participantes, todos aqueles que encontramos nos corredores, com quem falámos, que revimos, que encontramos e que foi, de facto, uma alegria estar com eles. E tivemos um país convidado, o Reino Unido. It was a pleasure to have UK as our invited country, and I am sure that our collaboration will be even increased after this period. You brought us fantastic speakers. Really, thank you for your participation. Nesta ocasião, fazemos sempre uma apresentação e um certo balanço do que foi o último ano. Apresentamos resultados, partilhamos resultados. E, de facto, alguns deles têm a ver com realizações importantes que foram feitas no país, no domínio da ciência, no último ano, que começaram a ser preparadas mesmo em anos anteriores. Falo, por exemplo, das questões relacionadas com o espaço. Tivemos aqui apresentações fantásticas nesta temática e o espaço e a criação da Agência Espacial Portuguesa, do Portugal Space, foi, de facto, uma tarefa bastante trabalhosa e bastante difícil e que foi concretizada no último ano. Também o Atlântico, os oceanos e o Atlântico especialmente, as interações atlânticas. Também tivemos muitos trabalhos e muitas apresentações sobre esta área e é também uma realização que concretizamos no último tempo, também fruto é sempre tudo fruto de trabalhos de anos anteriores. Mas também computação avançada, inteligência artificial, tivemos demonstrações muito interessantes em várias sessões. Acho que vamos todos para casa, para os nossos laboratórios, para as nossas instituições, com um bom sentimento de termos tido resultados e de termos partilhado esses resultados. E vai começar um novo ano. Bom, depois das férias, não é? E neste novo ano, o que é que pensamos vai marcar este novo ano na ciência e tecnologia em Portugal? Vai ser certamente um ano de consolidação do sistema. Tivemos um investimento com o empenho de todos em muitos instrumentos que agora vão certamente dar os seus resultados, maturar, consolidar-se. Acabámos, por exemplo, o processo de avaliação das unidades de investigação, que são uma peça estruturante do nosso sistema. Tivemos também o emprego científico, que pôs no sistema científico e tecnológico nacional muitos investigadores contratados, que certamente irão dar um contributo fantástico para o avanço da ciência em Portugal. E diversificámos, por exemplo, foram criados os laboratórios colaborativos, os COLAB, nesta uma interação entre instituições de investigação, instituições de interface e empresas, portanto, uma atividade nova para nós e na qual depositamos enormes esperanças e vontade que tenham sucesso. E também estamos a preparar o concurso e a atribuição do estatuto de laboratórios associados àqueles que quiserem contribuir para que a investigação e os resultados da investigação e a competência dos investigadores possam contribuir para o desenvolvimento e a consubstanciação de políticas públicas e na área de ciência e tecnologia das suas áreas. Vou agora aqui dar uma boa novidade, e essa novidade é que estamos a trabalhar para conseguir, e vamos certamente conseguir, trabalho esse conjunto do Ministro Manuel Leitor e do Ministro do Planeamento para, através do apoio dos fundos estruturais portugueses, podermos aumentar o número de bolsas que atribuímos anualmente. Temos atualmente cerca de 1.500 bolsas atribuídas anualmente e pensamos poder incrementar já este ano para 1.800, talvez até 1.900 bolsas de doutoramento. Estamos, nós todos também, de facto, muito felizes, porque as bolsas de doutoramento constituem um pilar do nosso sistema e representam, de facto, a juventude e o crescimento e a garantia de que no futuro vamos ter novos e empenhados cientistas em Portugal. É evidente que tudo isto se faz com as pessoas, se faz com os investigadores, se faz com o pessoal de apoio à investigação. E é com o seu entusiasmo, com a sua curiosidade, com a sua paixão que as coisas avançam. E não há financiamento, não há equipamento que supere fazerem aquilo de que gostam. Até ao Ciência 2020. Obrigada.
Na sessão de abertura eu tinha mencionado as várias efemérides científicas que nós iríamos celebrar durante estes 3 dias. Nós ouvimos na sessão agora de encerramento novamente sobre essas efemérides e durante estes 3 dias eu ainda aprendi sobre mais uma efeméride que não é muito conhecida do público em geral e também da comunidade científica. Eu cruzei-me das pausas do café com o co-diretor do programa CMU Portugal, o Rodrigo Rodrigues, e ele estava-me a mencionar, olha, há mais uma efeméride, quase ninguém sabe, mas em 1969, portanto estamos a celebrar 50 anos, portanto uma data redonda, a ARPANET, que mais tarde veio ser o que nós conhecemos como internet, foi nesse dia, 29 de outubro, que entre a UCLA e Stanford, eles tentaram transmitir os 5 caracteres da palavra login. Após o segundo caractere, portanto, conseguiram transmitir o L, conseguiram transmitir o O, e a partir daí o sistema crashou. Portanto, não foi uma efeméride com muito sucesso, talvez por isso a comunidade científica não conheça muito bem, mas foi interessante que o Rodrigo Rodrigues me tenha mencionado isso. Felizmente para nós, os cientistas não persistiram, e é uma curiosidade, é uma característica dos cientistas, é que têm que ser perseverantes, e é por essa razão que hoje temos a internet. E porque a ciência é feita por pessoas, e este evento foi feito por muitas pessoas, eu tenho que agradecer. Há muitas pessoas para agradecer. A agradecer a FCT, a agradecer o Ciência Viva, a agradecer à Comissão Parlamentar de Ciência e Tecnologia. I would like also to thank the British delegation. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. A agradecer toda a equipa que trabalhou nos bastidores antes e durante este evento. A agradecer aos voluntários, a agradecer ao público, a todos vocês que estiveram aqui, a todos os participantes, aos oradores, aos moderadores, aos estudantes de doutoramento que estiveram a demonstrar os seus posters, às demonstrações, às empresas, ao público em geral. Gostaria também de agradecer aos tradutores, incluindo aos tradutores de língua gestual portuguesa. Meu muito obrigado. Portanto, espero não me ter esquecido de ninguém, mas, acima de tudo, obrigada como comissária, obrigada por esta oportunidade e obrigada a todos. Para terminar, eu gostaria de chamar, e para encerrar, portanto, a seguir disto já não há mais discursos, gostaria de chamar o Sr. Secretário de Estado da Ciência, Tecnologia e Ensino Superior, João Sobrinho Teixeira. Obrigada a todos.
Boa tarde a todos. Devido ao facto do nosso Ministro ter que estar no debate no Parlamento do Estado da Nação, cabe-me a mim a distinção de encerrar este encontro do Ciência. E eu fui muito bem preparado para fazer este encerramento. Aliás, a nossa equipe disse-me logo que o Ministro Manuel Leitor, nos anos anteriores, costuma usar 2 minutos para fazer o encerramento. Alguém corrigiu que os 2 minutos do Ministro Manuel Leitor são às vezes 10 minutos. Eu vou tentar balizar-me entre os 2 e os 10 minutos para vos dar algumas das mensagens que vos quero dar. E a primeira mensagem, naturalmente, os parabéns, sobretudo à comunidade científica, pela festa da ciência que fez aqui, pela afirmação que fez da capacidade científica portuguesa. Essa era a primeira mensagem. E isto fez-se porque há muita gente, de facto, que se empenhou em fazê-la. Porque deu aquilo que era o seu trabalho, deu sobretudo aquilo que era o seu carinho, o seu afeto, e fê-lo, de facto, de uma maneira que pudesse ser altruísta e que tivesse um retributo para todos. E eu estou a falar da Fundação para a Ciência e Tecnologia, da Helena Pereira e da sua equipa, estou a falar do Ciência Viva, da Rosalia Vargas e da sua equipa, e estou a falar desta nossa comissária, que de facto consegue misturar um planeamento muito bem feito a uma capacidade de improviso e a um ritmo incansável, de facto, com que faz as coisas. Portanto, para eles todos, eu acho que o reconhecimento tem que ser dado, para a Helena, para a Rosalia, tudo para a Zita, para as equipas delas, a nossa salva de palmas pelo agradecimento do trabalho. Depois queria agradecer também ao nosso embaixador britânico, e eu vou falar em português, porque ele fala um português tão perfeito do que muitos de nós falamos inglês. Ele não falou português por uma questão institucional, mas fala um português sem sotaque. E, portanto, é ele que me dirijo também na língua portuguesa e na forma como a gente se expressa, para também agradecer o facto do Reino Unido ter aceito ser, neste ano, o país convidado, o facto de termos uma série de projetos que esperamos que na deslocação do Ministro Manuel Leitor, a 18 de julho, ao Reino Unido, se possam concretizar. O nosso embaixador já se referiu, de facto, ao protocolo entre as 2 agências especiais, à entrada formal do Reino Unido também para o Air Center, que é, de facto, um centro que é transversal a todo o Atlântico, mas sobre o qual Portugal tem uma grande envolvência, e também ao lançamento do programa do Imperial College. E esta ligação, e sobretudo a forma como o Sr. Embaixador se empenhou, mas que é o espelho daquilo que será a vontade da comunidade científica portuguesa e britânica, é uma demonstração que, independentemente das vicissitudes que possa haver em alguns passos do nosso caminho, mais uma vez a ciência está a contribuir para a ligação entre os povos e para permanecer essa ligação de uma das mais velhas alianças da Europa, que há de continuar, com toda a certeza, a bem da ciência e a bem dos povos britânicos e portugueses. Também queria vos dizer que neste envolvimento que nós estamos a ter para gerar cada vez mais conexões e partilhas, e porque a visita é já imediata, iremos receber nesta quinta e sexta-feira, amanhã e depois da manhã, o Ministro chinês da Ciência e Tecnologia, sobre o qual nós esperamos também que haja aqui uma capacidade de cooperação e um retorno para a comunidade científica portuguesa. Eu queria-vos só terminar com 2 ideias. E uma ideia é o quanto pode ser altruísta, o quanto pode ser importante produzirmos ciência e conhecimento. Nós, muitas vezes, quando estamos fechados nos nossos laboratórios, entusiasmamos com aquilo que são as nossas descobertas, entusiasmamos, de facto, com aquilo que é o progresso do nosso próprio centro. Mas eu gostava de vos dizer que muito daquilo que se faz e que produz, o valor que o conhecimento tem para o bem-estar das pessoas, para o bem-estar da humanidade e para o bem-estar de muitos dos povos e de muitas das regiões, constitui o país e a humanidade. E às vezes nós não nos valorizamos a nós próprios naquilo que é o nosso retorno e o retorno que tem, de facto, o conhecimento e a ciência para as pessoas. Deixai-me que me diga um exemplo, eu já o dei mais que uma vez, mas vivi-o na primeira pessoa e gostava de transmitir para vermos o valor do conhecimento. Todos sabem que eu sou transmontano e, portanto, nasci no meio rural. E há muitos anos atrás, o meu pai, que também era do meio rural, recebeu financiamento da União Europeia nessa altura, há umas décadas atrás, para proceder ao arranque das vinhas que existiam naquela zona em Portugal, porque o vinho português não teria futuro, o vinho português seria destinado para destilar, nós em Trás-os-Montes chamamos para queimar, exatamente pela falta de qualidade do vinho português. Passado estes anos, o vinho português é um dos setores mais afirmativos nas nossas exportações e no setor secundário é, de facto, um dos primeiros em capacidade de exportação. E o que é que mudou desde algumas décadas atrás para agora? Foi o conhecimento. Foi o conhecimento que nós conseguimos introduzir na forma, de facto, como fazemos o cultivo da vinha. Foi o conhecimento na forma como sabemos qual há de ser o momento em que fazemos a vindima. Foi a forma como conseguimos ter enólogos que trabalharam todo o processo de fermentação da vinha. E foi a forma como conseguimos ter conhecimento e conseguir fazer o marketing do nosso próprio vinho. E o conhecimento... Muito obrigada. E o conhecimento mostra aqui como foi capaz de mudar a vida de uma série de pessoas, como é que foi capaz de mudar a realidade de uma região. Nós temos hoje, de facto, regiões que estão pujantes à custa desse conhecimento e temos pessoas que vivem muito melhor à custa desse conhecimento. Há uns anos atrás, quando também tivemos parte da crise económica e tivemos o grande problema do calçado na relação da competitividade que tínhamos com países que tinham menos inovação, isso constituiu um grande problema com desemprego para as pessoas e uma grande angústia. Hoje temos esse setor pujante a gerar empregos e a gerar o bem-estar para essas populações. E o que é que mudou? Lá para cá, mudou o conhecimento. A forma como, de facto, conseguimos gerar novas coisas e disso traduziu-se numa melhoria da economia, mas traduziu-se, sobretudo, numa melhoria da condição de vida das pessoas. E, portanto, um cientista, quando está a produzir conhecimento, está a produzir conhecimento para o seu laboratório, está a produzir conhecimento para a economia do país, mas está a produzir conhecimento para o bem-estar das pessoas e das suas regiões. E é este valor altruísta que eu gostava que todos sentissem. Eu, infelizmente, já não produzo ciência há algum tempo, produzia, mas queria reconhecer, também como governante, todo o esforço e todo o retorno que pode ter a produção de conhecimento e a produção de inovação para as pessoas e para os nossos países. Por último, também uma palavra de reconhecimento ao progresso global que a ciência teve em Portugal. Nós hoje temos, no patamar da inovação, estamos um pontinho, um espacinho abaixo daquilo que vão ser os grandes líderes de inovação. E, portanto, certamente, nos próximos anos, e não há de demorar muito, iremos conseguir estar nesse patamar dos líderes de inovação. Mas Portugal já conseguiu, através da sua ciência, um grande fenómeno. Como disse aqui o Comissário Carlos Moedas, nós duplicamos, neste horizonte 2020, aquilo que foi a capacidade, de facto, de Portugal conseguir ter retorno nos fundos competitivos da União Europeia. As nossas expectativas, através do programa PERIM, é que no próximo quadro, no Horizonte Europa, nós consigamos mais uma vez duplicar e, portanto, consigamos ter um retorno de 2.000 milhões de euros para o país. E, pela primeira vez, Portugal consegue, num quadro comunitário destes, ter um balanço positivo entre aquilo que é o retorno que cada país tem que dar para esse bolo comum e a capacidade que a nossa ciência conseguiu para ir ter um balanço positivo e, portanto, ter mais financiamento do que aquilo que colocou lá. Este é um caminho que é importante e é mais uma vez importante para o país e será mais uma vez importante para as pessoas. Eu acho que a nossa ciência está no caminho e está no espaço para se afirmar como um dos setores exportadores nacionais e fazer parte da diplomacia económica deste país. E eu já falei em produtos que se exportam. Portugal tem muitos produtos que se exportam. Se nós, de facto, pudermos exportar conhecimento e ciência, faremos bem ao mundo, mas faremos, sobretudo, bem às gerações portuguesas mais novas, porque será um dos melhores legados a capacidade que um país tem de exportar esse conhecimento e essa inovação. E, portanto, é esta afirmação também daquilo que vocês fazem, que deve ser feita e que deve ser dita para que muitos da sociedade portuguesa sabem aquilo que está a ser feito. Quando nós, naturalmente, queremos que mais financiamento venha para a ciência, temos que perceber que a sociedade portuguesa tem que entender que esse financiamento é o caminho correto para a afirmação e para aquilo que é o desejo do país. Muitas vezes os governantes têm que fazer aquilo que é o espelho da sociedade e por isso este meu enfatizar que todos, em qualquer sítio e no espaço pudermos, realçarmos de facto o que é que a ciência está a fazer e que a nossa ciência se pode tornar num desses setores exportadores e afirmativos nacionais. Para bem dos vossos laboratórios, mas sobretudo para bem da nossa sociedade, para bem dos nossos jovens e para bem certamente do mundo, que o mundo fica sempre melhor com mais conhecimento. Muito obrigado e até ao Ciência 2020.